And at the end, you will receive a resource guide of kind of everything we've talked about today with my contact information if you do want to follow up later. So here are, like I said earlier, the skills competencies based off the National Association for Colleges and Employers. So this is kind of the framework of how we kind of operate in career services as a whole, across the board in universities. So we call them competencies, as otherwise known as like transferable skills. And so whether you're really looking to pursue graduate school or get a job after you graduate, or whether that be, to secure a summer internship, become an entrepreneur or anything like that, these competencies really give you that foundation to build an awareness of what strengths and skills that you have, whether through work experience or through internship or whatever you're doing to advance your career to help you in the future. It also allows you to communicate, your areas of growth in regards to your next work experience and how you want to use what you're studying in the classroom to build a foundation for your career in the future. And then ultimately, you want to create that personal brand for yourself. You want to develop that professional development through various networking opportunities, just to advance that growth and to continue that pursuit for whatever career that you're hoping to get. So here are all of the NACE career competencies. Up in the right-hand corner, you do have a QR code if you want to scan it to learn more about it. It takes you to the website. But here's just kind of an overview about what are some competencies and how maybe you see yourself in some of these. So I'm not going to read through everyone, but as you can see here, the career and self-development, it really focuses on, how you're kind of examining, all of your strengths and areas of growth. Communication, how does that communication play out, in your various experiences? How can you relay that onto your resume and the other professional documents that you're going to be submitting for any part-time job or just any job in the future? Critical thinking, think about, how you've done this in the classroom, but also your experiences to help you analyze information better. Professionalism, so you are all maintaining a level of professionalism that goes to your personal brand. And so think about how that is demonstrated through all of your experiences and how you can portray yourself in a professional manner moving forward through the process of finding a job. Teamwork, so think about, you all have had forms of teamwork. You have individual skills, but also teamwork skills and responsibilities and deliverables through that. And so you want to make sure that you're building a strong, positive relationships with those around you, because you never know how that can affect your relationships moving forward in your career. Leadership, this one is, allows you to kind of leverage those strengths to kind of see, how you can utilize those as you're in group setting or whatever the case may be, to take ownership of your work and to promote yourself as a better leader moving forward. Equity inclusion, so that's going to be making sure, that you are eliminating biases, you're making sure, you're adapting to that diverse environment, and ultimately, making sure that everyone is cared for and supported for. Finally, technology, I think we've all advanced our skills with that in the past 2+ years. They're using Zoom like we are now, and to showcase how these skills also portray into the work that we do. So whether that be, skills through online platforms or, some softwares or things like that you're using just to better your skills, therefore. So you all, probably came to this workshop wondering, what are part-time jobs? How can I get one and how do they benefit me? But before I kind of go into that breakdown, does anyone want to unmute themselves or put in the chat about what they think a part-time job is and maybe some of its benefits? And it could be as simple as it's not a full-time job, but I'm just curious about where kind of the framework and level that we are kind of coming from and the understanding of part-time jobs. While we're waiting for some responses, Alana said, a job you work a few days a week to build your skills and get work experience. Yes, that's really pretty much the basis and the definition of a part-time job. So specifically, a part-time job is not a full-time job. I know that seems obvious, but Typically, you're going to be working about 10 hours a week, especially for full-time students. So if you're not a full-time student, you may have that flexibility to work up to 28, 29 hours a week. But typically, a full-time job is going to be closer to that 40-hour a week um, framework. Really, the benefit of a part-time job is going to be, like Alana said, so you can build experience and get experience for the next thing. So I like to refer to part-time jobs as a stepping stone for that next adventure, whether it be a full-time job, pursuing grad school, a summer internship, whatever the case may be. Part-time job is going to influence you in some capacity and really give you the framework that you need for that next step in your career. How does it benefit you, especially if you are looking for part-time jobs that align with your major and career goals? They are going to really advance because your employer or whoever you're going to be working for is going to want to see that you have, some level of experience or kind of interest, showing that you've taken the time to want to know more about whatever capacity that you're in. So part-time jobs are very helpful, especially as you're a student and wanting that experience before you really get into the full-time experience. So like I just touched on, they align a lot of part-time jobs by aligning with your major. You want to try to find them in the field, now, because they allow you to A, earn money in the field while doing it, and B, get that experience, because a lot of people, employers, want you to have some form of experience to kind of show that initiative that you took in college that kind of sets you apart and up on a level when you're going to pursue those full-time careers. And it really benefits your career. Like I mentioned, you have the opportunity to leverage your employment because it ultimately builds your career moving forward. And so you never know the network that you'll build through a part-time job, especially as it relates to your career, because you'll have that network of people that will influence you and be able to be a reference for you or whatever the case may be. So I've kind of alluded to this at the beginning, but really the four main impacts about how a part-time job can set you for your career by aligning with your major and your career goals could be a summer internship. So you may just be wanting, seeking a summer internship, but they require a little bit of experience, or a full-time job. That's going to be what mainly many students are going to be getting a full-time or a part-time job for, just to get that experience so an employer can see you do have relevant experience that the job description is asking for. A lot of you may be considering graduate school programs. I know, speaking, just for UNC, law school, medical school, anything like that, they're going to want to see that you have had some work experience, whatever the case may be, especially as it relates to whatever you're going to be studying, especially for, medical school. They want to see that you've had some shadowing experience, working as a CNA, hospital, whatever the case may be. And then entrepreneurship, you want to kind of show that initiative. Maybe you've started to shadow or get that experience of working with startup companies or whatever the case may be to be an entrepreneur in the future. So there are three main types of part-time jobs that we're going to focus on today. The first being on campus. So whenever students think of on campus, a lot of, think through the Federal Work Study Office or just any UNC department-based office here on campus. Off campus will be, jobs that mostly are going to be local to the Chapel Hill area, not going really any farther than Raleigh or Durham. And then remote. So remote is going to be jobs that are anywhere in the world, but you can work virtually. So having that flexibility, if you have a job or if you see a job on Handshake through, that's in New York City, but they do remote, you can definitely work for that. And we're going to go into that search a little bit more in detail, but we're going to go specifically break down each one of these and how there's many options within them. So starting with on campus, so these are going to be, you can find either non-academic or academic. So these can be, think research assistant, teaching assistant, things like that. You may have experienced some of these while being in the classroom. Something to note with these is oftentimes the applications will open early. And so you kind of have to secure a semester in advance based off kind of the need of the professor or whatever the case may be of who you're working with. So that's something to note with that one. The Federal Work Study Office. So these are specifically for students that qualify for financial aid. So they have the opportunity to earn college funds while working part-time on campus, but those are just for students that qualify. So that is something to note with that. You can ask the Federal Work Study Office if you do qualify, but it is based on specific financial need. And then lastly, there's the department-based jobs. And so those are going to be part-time jobs through various organizations or departments on campus. Those can be paid or not paid, as with the other ones. And so many times they will post on Handshake, and I'll get to that in just a second, but that is our job searching platform. And sometimes it will just be through word of mouth, just kind of based on availability. And so you can see more at different times of the year. Probably at the beginning of the semester, you're going to see lots more just because there's a great need, and then they'll kind of fulfill as needed. So for off-campus jobs, off-campus part-time jobs, that is what I was alluding to at the beginning. So I oversee and coordinate the Job Location Development Program, so otherwise known as the JLD program. So this helps students identify off-campus part-time jobs that align with their academic major and or career goals. And so really the purpose of this opportunity is for students to actively seek options for them that, complement their major. And so instead of, maybe working retail or something or fast food, they can get experience that will really benefit them and also still allow them to make money. And then if you want to be an entrepreneur, kind of proceed with building up your entrepreneurship, kind of wanting to pursue your own business, maybe working with startup businesses and kind of focusing on your various interests. Some remote options. So anything really can be remote, especially, these days, everything can, be opted through, working on Zoom, emails, whatever the case may be. But some ones to highlight that you may be interested in is tutoring. So tutoring, if you're really skilled in an academic area or subject, someone might recommend you to be a tutor. They do have on-campus tutors, but this might be working for a tutoring agency. There's plenty around this area, or, working remotely. And it's not, it's the hours are kind of, you can kind of be flexible with that and make your own schedule, which is nice with that. And then freelance is the same type of thing. So if you are good at writing, for example, and you want to apply your skills and your subjects into, getting a little bit of extra income, you can be a freelance writer. And then any other JLD remote options. So through Handshake, you have the ability to select a little filter to only do off-campus part-time roles, and you could do remote on there as well. And those, again, can align with your academic major and or career goals. So the process. Obviously, it is a process to find a part-time job. You're not going to get one overnight. You want to make sure that you have all of your documents ready, making sure, what type of experience is going to work best for you, your schedule, your goals, and your interests, and things like that. So you want to make sure that you really take time to make sure, that this experience is going to be what's best for you. And so you want to also think through how you can grow and how it can affect your career in the future. So here's just kind of initial process as we like to, work with our office to help you ensure that you are set up for success to get a part-time job. So when we think of just the beginning stages, we like to call this the explore stage. And so that is going to meet with a career coach in our office or another university career center on campus. And really, you want to make sure, most jobs are going to require a resume and a cover letter. So you want to make sure that you have those updated and ready to be handed to an employer. And then you're going to move to the connect stage. So that's going to be to where you're going to be searching for those off-campus or on-campus or remote part-time jobs through Handshake or word of mouth, or learning more by joining the JLD program. And then once you have that kind of foundation, you can kind of transform it to ensure that you have kind of aligned your search and with your academic major and career goals to really help you, like I mentioned earlier, long term. And then up there on the top left is the QR code for Handshake. We're going to get to it, and it's going to be in the resource document after this presentation, but that is where you can find a lot of our jobs, posted. We have lots of employers through there, and then you can apply directly from Handshake. So what does it mean to navigate the job search through Handshake? So here's some helpful tips to make sure that you are increasing your chances of an employer viewing your profile is you want to make sure it's complete. So doing this to make sure it's 100% complete, you want to make sure that all of your documents are uploaded, your work experience is there, any of your interests, anything that, I believe it says once you go sign into your Handshake profile, there's options to increase it. So you want to make sure it's 100% updated. And then you want to make sure that you use filters. So like I said earlier, you can filter it by major, school year, graduation date, GPA, location, etc. So you want to make sure, again, you can search by that to narrow down your search, because it is overwhelming whenever you just go search for jobs, just see the thousands posted. Then you can actually save jobs. So if you kind of are browsing and you want to kind of come back to them, you can save them and you can view them later. But you also will get updates and reminders to apply before the deadline. So every time you go back onto Handshake, you will get reminders. So they'll constantly be showing you, Handshake will be showing you updates too whenever you go onto Handshake. By uploading your interests, Handshake will recommend a lot of jobs to you and kind of experiences and events based off what you provide. So Handshake will kind of be molded to whatever you're looking for. So make sure you do beef it up as much as possible. And then lastly, message employers. You have the option to follow employers. You have the option to, see, a message them saying you're interested or you just applied, showing that initiative. You can also see other UNC students that have worked there, and so you can message them and ask them about their experience or ask them to kind of put in a good word for you if you know them. So there's definitely ways to navigate and promote the part-time job search through Handshake. You just have to be a little bit creative and be willing to take the extra step to do that. So this is just a screenshot of something that I just searched through Handshake. This is what it's going to look like. So I just searched public health and I searched Chapel Hill area part-time and made sure it was paid. So 3 jobs came up and this is the first one. So it's through Carriya Health and it's a student healthcare assistant. So what you're going to see next, if you scroll down, you'll have seen the role description, position summary, candidate requirements, and maybe a few other things that they choose to include. But it's definitely important in the job search process to look at the job description and look at the summary to see A, if you're qualified, and B, if it seems interesting and a good fit for you. Because ultimately you have to be a good fit for the company or employer that you're going to work for, but you also have to make sure that, it aligns with the, you really like the mission of the program or whatever company it is, you like, what the job is going to be, and making sure, you do have the basic requirements for that. So as you can see here, the summary, making sure, you'll be providing in-home healthcare, basic things like that to help you, if you are especially a public health major. So that is just one example, but I really encourage you, especially the bolded areas, to read through very carefully, because that is going to be important, because especially as you update your resume and your cover letter, because you want to make sure that they align with the job description. So here's some kind of basic application tips that you should just remember and kind of to use as you go through any application. But before you submit, like I just said, research the company mission, values, and job types, anything that you can see, through social media and things like that, because ultimately, you want to make sure you're going into a good working environment, and that, it's even if it is a part-time job, that you still will enjoy your time there. If you don't have LinkedIn, I encourage you to get it, because you want to make sure that, you can find any UNC alumni that may work there, or any maybe career paths that are maybe similar to yours. You can look through, your faculty on there, or any, friends or family or anything, that have gone through a specific company, and, ask them for tips, or maybe if they know anyone hiring and anything like that. Going back to the NACE competencies, show your strong communication skills and use those other competencies to integrate those based off whatever is your strength. So kind of feed off of your strengths. It will go a long way for sure. And then as it relates to the team atmosphere, show that you work well with others, or show, you're self-driven, you're motivated, anything to express who you are, and as it relates to your professional development. So here's just some kind of tips and tricks as it relates to just in general, finding a job, you want to make sure that you're prepared. So I talked earlier about making sure that you're talking with your career coach or any trusted advisor or friend or mentor on how to best prepare. So definitely encourage you to make sure you talk with someone before you're submitting a bunch of applications, just because you will be prepared more by talking out with someone, having them look over your documents and things like that. Second is use your network. So we are thankful, to work and attend a university that has a great network. A lot of people know about UNC, and so when they see that you have attended UNC or are currently attending UNC, it will go a long way. And so make sure that you use that to your advantage, talking through any professors or mentors or things, in the area that may, especially locally, that they may know of some part-time jobs that may work best for you. And then once you do land a job, or once you're still in the process, don't be afraid to utilize us here at UNC, University Career Services, or just in general another department-based career service, because I definitely recommend you going and seeking out those resources, especially as you're searching continually for a full-time job. And then be confident. A part-time job, it can be very hard to be confident, especially when you're not sure if it's going to be a long-term thing or just kind of get you an extra income. But especially as it relates to helping with your career goals in the future, you want to make sure you're confident, because you are capable of doing this. You just have to remember that it just takes a little bit of work, and so be confident and be willing to give some extra time, because it will help you in the long run. So here's just a few things I wanted to throw out there as far as what we have in our office as some extra resources. If you need a bit more experience, these are some ways for you to get engaged. So the Carolina Career Readiness Certificate is if you're someone that lacks any pre-professional college experience and kind of wants that before you start looking for a part-time job. And then we have the Professional Internship Experience Certificate. And so that allows you to, if you are currently holding an on-campus job, you can kind of take it to the next level to professionalize that experience, to align specifically with your academic major or career goals. And then we have the Parker Dewey micro internships. So these are someone that's, if you're looking for a paid professional experience for doing a short-term project, usually remote, working with an employer to kind of give you that project. And they, again, are paid experiences. And then we have Forage. So that's an online platform that's free and open to any students to kind of get that real world experience through a variety of, again, those various projects and things, working for Fortune 500 companies. And again, it gives you that experience to apply those skills that you're learning in the classroom into these self-paced experiences. So like I mentioned at the beginning of the workshop, you will be receiving an email following this workshop containing all of these resources. I know that was a lot of information to take in, so I don't expect you to remember all of it. So there will be information and links to all of the information that we talked about today, along with my contact information. So finally, here are some next steps about what you should do moving forward, especially as it pertains to finding a part-time job that aligns with your major and academic career goals. I definitely would encourage you to utilize Handshake. What I mentioned multiple times throughout this, it is our online job searching platform, and you can schedule one-on-one appointments through there. You can learn more about our events in our office at UNC, various resources that will help you in your professional development in the long term, but definitely would utilize that as it pertains to the job search. In the middle, you have a QR code that allows you, if you want to scan that, to register it's a survey for JLD. So if you want to take a quick minute if you are interested in learning more about it, just, so I can follow up with you with some next steps for sure. Make sure you scan that, and that will be in the document as well. And then again, just visit us at career.unc.edu to check out all our resources. We did just upload our new site, so it's all fresh and easy to access. But without further ado, are there any questions? If you don't mind taking a quick moment to complete this QR code, it's a little survey to provide us with some feedback, but I would be happy to answer questions at this time. And I will put that survey link in the chat for you as well. You can unmute yourself or put it in the chat, whatever you prefer. And I don't expect you to have any, if you don't have any questions now, you may have in the future. So my email is down there, kara.alvis@unc.edu. But thank you all so much for coming, and I hope you have a great rest of your week. Thank you so much, Alana.
Yeah, for sure. So if I just like stop the recording, it should go to the cloud, I guess.
Yes. If you hit to the cloud, then it will go.
Okay.
Thank you.